How do folks, David here with another video, and back by popular demand we are going to be re-examining our flying cake stand that accelerates upward at a rate of 9.8 meters per second. Well, I say by popular demand, what actually happened was a couple of you have been having a go at us because I haven't done one of these in a while. However, now truth to tell, I was actually in the middle of doing another flying cake stand video, but recently a couple of things happened and I needed to address them first. So I was in the middle of doing some research for this other video. As Team Flat Earth is wont to tell us, do your own research. So I needed some advice on how the Earth was made, so I reached for that excellent ancient technical manual, the Bible. Now, we've actually got a couple of Bibles in the house and I actually grabbed the wrong one. This one is only New Testament and it's edited highlights at that. But before I realised my mistake, I started having a quick flick through the pages. And lo and behold, there was a picture there. Here it is. Now, this Bible was left in the letterbox by the Gideon Society, Gideon International. They're the ones that leave all the Bibles in hotel rooms and things like that. Really massive organisation. And I had to do a double take at this picture because it's actually a map. Here's a close-up of it. Now, you'll notice it's not a Mercator projection, neither is it an AE map, even though it's round. In fact, to all intents and purposes, as far as I can tell, even though it is distorted so that it's got all of the continents in there, this is a stylised globe. So, if the Bible says that the Earth is flat, why is one of the largest Bible distributors on the planet sending out Bibles saying that the Earth is a globe? If anyone's got an answer for that, stick it down in the comments below. And while you're scrolling past, feel free to hit the subscribe button. So that's the first thing that needs to be addressed. Now, for the second one, I need to give you a little bit of sort of background to my way of thinking. And we'll address that point later on in the video and do an experiment to go with it. Back in time, for a good number of years, I used to work for a newspaper and I was talking to one of the blood-sucking journalists, and they introduced me to a term that I had never heard before. Now, the term is wordsmithing. What that essentially means is that you can use select words or phrases in order to guide a reader to already have sort of a preformed opinion on what you're going to write. They use it extensively in things like headlines and that kind of thing. YouTubers tend to use it, you would know it as clickbait titles. And let's face it, I've shamelessly clickbaited the title on this video. But suffice to say that by the clever use of choosing words, you can get your point across better. Now, do bear in mind that I am a simple model maker. I just want to make models. When it comes to the flat Earth versus globe Earth debate, both sides do exactly the same thing. Although it's got to be said, I do believe flat Earth is far more polished in the way they use it. For example, take this phrase, spinning ball. Now, the first word to that, spin. Go round on its axis, but the term spin, when you think of spinning, you think of a roundabout or a spinning top, and it implies speed. Whereas globe earthers will use the word rotate, which generally brings to mind something turning slowly. Now, I don't have too much of a problem with flat earth people using the word spin. At the end of the day, it's probably in far more common use than the word rotate is. You know, if it goes round, yeah, people say it's spinning. All they've got to do is say it spins fast or it spins slow. And of course, flat earthers don't actually say it spins slow because it is rotating at 1 revolution per day. But like I say, I don't have too much of a problem with that one. The word in that phrase that I do have a problem with is ball. Now, okay, 3-dimensional spherical object, it's a ball. Team Globe will use the term oblate spheroid. Who uses that in everyday conversation? I mean, if you go out and ask 10 people on the street what an oblate spheroid is, half of them won't know and at least one of them will think it's a loaf of Italian bread. Basically what that does mean is, Team Globe, sorry, because you keep using the correct phrase, you're coming across as boring and people are switching off. Sorry. Now, the issue that I have with ball is not to do with the shape of it, it's actually the material, because to me, ball implies something like a basketball or a football or a ping pong ball, and it implies a certain material. Now, it doesn't matter what ball you have, they've all got a shiny surface, well, apart from tennis balls because they're hairy. But a football, if you're kicking it round a muddy field, it is designed with a shiny coating on it so that the mud doesn't stick to it. Otherwise, after 10 minutes of play, you're going to be carrying around half the pitch on it. You're going to kick it and break your foot. It's designed so that stuff does not stick to it, which is why when they put water on a spinning ball, it doesn't stick. That's what it's designed to do. I much prefer to call it what it is. The Earth is a rock, and I've already proved that water will adhere to a spinning rock. Links down in the description, and there's one just up there. We've already debunked that one, sorry guys. But again, by that clever word play, by using ball, you're implying something which has a slick surface. Naughty naughty. Now, another phrase that I hear getting used by flat earthers an awful lot is water needs a container and it will find its own level. Again, that use of the word container, you're implying something like a cup or a bucket. Well, no, because I've just shown that a rock can hold water, and so can a sponge, and so can a t-shirt if it gets wet. They'll hold water, and I wouldn't class them as containers. Is a rock particularly good at holding water? No, it's not, I'll grant you that. But it can do it. So yeah, sorry, that container word, that's a no-no as well. When I've already debunked it, don't come at us with it. The other thing is level. Now again, they're talking about on a small scale like this, because you can visualise that. But you know what? I don't know which planet you're living on, but the one which I am, and it doesn't matter whether or not you use a globe or the AE map, over 2/3 of it is covered in water. And we're not talking about piddly little lakes or anything like that. We're talking about bodies like the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, all of the rest of those oceans that make up the vast bulk of that water. And you know what they're not doing? They're not finding a level. It's called tides, you muppet. So, each and every day, across the surface of the planet, you've got squillions of gallons of water, weighing about a gazillion tons. Quick editor's note. Did you notice the use of the words squillions and gazillions, which are actual numbers that everybody understands, purely to get across the vast scale of the amount of water that we were talking about and the immense weight of it? That's wordsmithing for you. You've got squillions of gallons of water, weighing about a gazillion tons, all sloshing about, racing from one side to the other. Now, with all that water and all that weight racing about the planet, how come we don't actually feel the effects of it? Now, granted, all you viewers up north who are closer to the centre of the circle, the wobble's not going to be as much for you, so you may hardly feel it. But down here, close to the rim where I am, how is it that at high tide the ground doesn't suddenly just drop from under me feet? Or why am I not having to wear a crash helmet at low tide when it's all buggered up to the other side of the planet, just in case I suddenly get catapulted up through the ceiling? Now, I can preempt one of your arguments. You're probably going to say something like, oh, well, it's like a pendulum, it's all in motion and we're used to it and blah, blah, blah. That's all great. But that brings me on to my second point, and we are going to be doing an experiment to have a look to see what happens. A couple of weeks back, I was sat there minding my own business when suddenly my cell phone starts going off like a frog in a sock. And I had to do a double take because everybody else's cell phone around the house was doing exactly the same thing. Quick check on it. Emergency tsunami warning. Oh, great. Earthquake in Kamchatka? Well, that's a gazillion miles away. And I actually do know where Kamchatka is. It's one of the territories on the Wargame Risk. But suffice to say, huge distance away from where we were. Why were we getting a tsunami warning? It must have been a biggie. But the point is, if you're saying that those tides are like a pendulum, how does the Earth cope with an unexpected event where suddenly all of that water, and let's face it, the Pacific is the largest ocean on the planet, is getting shoved southwards? Why don't we have a quick look to see what is going to happen on a large flat surface, it was a tidal wave. See this face? This is my frustrated face. As you can probably tell, the experiment did not go according to plan. I will show you the footage for that in just a second, but I should probably explain what I was intending to do. Because all of the animations that we see regarding flat Earth essentially show it free floating in space. The idea was to get a tray of water, balance it on a sort of pivot point, because let's face it, in space it's, you know, just sitting there floating by itself. Get it filled with water and then use a spoon or something like that just to create a tidal wave and see what happened. That was the plan. Now, I did make some models. This was one of the later prototypes. Round, like the Earth, container, and a pivot point attached to it at the bottom. And unfortunately, it didn't matter what I got, there was always an amount of flex in it, which just messed things up. I tried this, I tried plastic trays, I tried metal baking trays, just didn't work. Eventually, the one that I used for the actual experiment was this. And to stop the flexing, you can see I've had to reinforce the bottom so that it's all nice and stable and it's got that pivot point there. Obviously, with a large amount of water being involved, I had to do it outside, and yeah, I got dressed up in scruffs because I was expecting there to be an amount of wetness. That's a bit of an understatement. The amount of attempts I had at this were absolutely ridiculous. This was about number 9. Roll the tape. Alright, we have moved outside because this is going to get messy. I hope you can hear me over the background noise. The neighbours are out doing DIY. That's perfectly fine. So we have our tray. As you can see, it will stand up. Alright, so flat and level. And now we are going to add some water to it. And already I can feel the water shifting around and it's becoming very unstable. If you can imagine, whoa, look at that. All right, if you can imagine what this is like just on a small scale with less than an inch depth of water, just imagine what it is like on a planetary scale. Come on. Balance. You should be able to see the ripples in the water. And yeah, okay, even just with small movements like that, it's just tipping. Okay. So, sorry, I cannot see how a flat Earth just floating in space is going to cope with anything like a tsunami when that happens. The weight of the water just shifts it over. Feel free to try it yourself. But without the water shifting, perfectly stable. So yes, unfortunately, showing that experiment the way I wanted to was simply beyond my capabilities. I could not get it stable. And, you know, if you think I was faking it or anything like that, try it yourself. Just get an oven tray, fill it with about an inch full of water, put your hand flat underneath it like that, and see how it reacts. See if you can control it, because that was one of the early things that I actually tried, and it's bloody difficult, I'll tell you. even with just a small amount of water in it. So there you have it. I mean, that's pretty damning, let's face it. Can't cope with it on a small scale. How is the Earth supposed to cope with all those squillions of tons of water unexpectedly moving across the surface of it? Why did we not suddenly all just flip over? Again, answers in the comment section down below. But of course we don't have to worry too much about shifting payloads with our flying cake stand because hey, just a wee boost on those correctional thrusters underneath and we can get it all sorted out. Maybe that's the answer. But those rocket boosters, they're going to be the subject of another video, and I think that one probably wraps it up for this video. Please do all that usual social media stuff if you want to. Hit the like and subscribe and share it if you want. It's all free. Until next time, I'll see you guys in a bit. Toodle pip.